Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. Amazing, truly worthy of being the strongest godly king in the history of the Land of Origin, ascending to the first realm of godly king in just over 2 centuries, and has even reached the second realm, the monarch of you country exclaimed. In the Land of Origin, there are many stronger than me, Luo Feng laughed, inadvertently acknowledging himself as being in the second realm of godly king. The chaotic whole undying light and great extinction style, he had realized, along with the second realm secret techniques, he would realize in the future. Possessing such powerful secret techniques, who would believe he was still in the first realm of godly king? Moreover, Luo Feng was intentionally creating higher realm secret techniques at a lower realm to hone his comprehension. In fact, in terms of accumulation, the paths of life and destruction could easily propel him to the second realm of godly king if he pursued them deliberately. By acknowledging himself as in the second realm of godly king, his strength seemed more reasonable. With your talent, Luo He, you have every chance of reaching the ultimate realm, the monarch of you country said. The ultimate realm is much harder than the second realm of godly king, Luo Feng replied. In the Land of Origin, a fair number of secret techniques of the ultimate realm had been realized by emperors and monarchs, even those at the level of Emperor Gui Shu could manage it. But in this era, only the Lord of 10,000 Realms and Emperor Qing had reached the ultimate realm. Yes, it's very difficult, the monarch of you countryside, having not even realized a single ultimate realm secret technique himself. The news that Luo Feng had defeated a second realm godly king with a single chaotic whole undying light spread rapidly, even detailed battle images were available. This Luo He, without showing his physical strength, simply released a blade light to defeat an ordinary second realm godly king. The Emperor of Tian Kuan of Shi country also keenly watched the battle images. This blade light is not from a weapon secret treasure, but from condensed prowess. It possesses such terrifying power. With attributes like all things can be cut, unavoidable, energy eternal, it has many terrifying aspects. The Emperor of Tian Kuan, being a high-ranking overlord, recognized many fearsome traits of this blade light. This blade light reaches a very high realm. I can't perform such a refined move myself, the Emperor of Tian Kuan admitted, his feelings complex. Even if I were to utilize my full power with the primordial bloodline, I probably could only match this one blade light. Is this what they call a peerless talent? The Emperor of Tian Kuan, himself a reigning overlord, felt a sense of powerlessness facing Luo He. Last time, Luo Feng's techniques were still clumsy, merely relying on having many avatars and a resilient physical body to entangle the enemy. In just over 2 centuries, his previously weakest aspect, realm, had already surpassed that of the Emperor of Tian Kuan. I'd better keep more distance from him in the future, the Emperor of Tian Kuan thought silently. Of course, he wasn't alarmed. Even if Luo Feng's realm was high enough to master ultimate realm secret techniques, comparable to Emperor Gui Shu or Wuxin God King, so what? Even at the Emperor level, no one would dare claim they could destroy the Emperor of Tian Kuan in one stroke, leaving him no chance for reincarnation. The life force of the Emperor of Tian Kuan, with his primordial bloodline, was also exceptionally robust. Below the endless flames, a figure appeared, none other than the first Emperor Di Yang of the Flame-Wind ancient country. Luo He has reached the second realm of godly king. Di Yang nodded slightly, his realm has greatly improved, and he's skilled in creating avatars. For my Flame-Wind ancient country, he could be very useful, handling many tough and arduous tasks. Among the guest elder godly kings, Luo Feng was already considered a powerful force, with his multitude of avatars equivalent to a group of royal family godly kings. The only obstacle is his master Emperor Chu, Di Yang frowned. He believed that, on one hand, the emperor's strength was a deterrent, and on the other hand, offering merit resources, Luo Feng would obediently bow down and toil without complaint. But with Emperor Chu around, he would certainly protect his disciples' interests. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Revealing some of his strength had stirred up some disturbances, but Luo Feng continued to leisurely stroll around. Although the large cities of Sha country are prosperous, the wilderness outside the cities is much more brutal and cruel. Luo Feng frowned slightly, watching a warship approach a tribe in the distance. The tribe comprised merely a few thousand creatures. The warship carried a crack troop consisting of 10 true gods of void space and 100 true gods, who now led with a secret treasure that produced a massive bag, aiming to completely swallow the whole tribe. This is bad. Run. Panic ensued within the tribe. However, the troops on the warship were quite casual, having grown accustomed to such tasks. Every so often, they had to capture enough creatures to offer up. If the numbers fell short, they would have to pay with their own lives. Scram! A commanding shout instantly transported the warship billions of kilometers away, and the tribe miraculously survived. The few thousand creatures in the tribe stared blankly at the scene. The massive bag and warship that had dominated the sky disappeared. Hurry! We've been discovered, we must hide deeper in the mountains. Quick, move quickly. The tribe swiftly mobilized, taking only essential items, and moved to a more secluded location aboard a flying boat. From afar, Luo Feng watched the entire tribe relocate. This is Sha country, known for its cuisine, but also for devouring countless creatures. Luo Feng shook his head lightly. When he annexed 10 primal chaos prefectures of Sha country, he discovered that their wilderness tribes all lived in extremely remote areas. That emperor of Tian Kuan, he intends to consume countless creatures over the long term. This was also why Sha country was so brutally aggressive in its expansion. In fact, with the strength of Sha country, annexing some third-rate nations through sheer force was usually unchallenged. Through normal negotiations and intimidation, annexation was easily achieved. This was a common way for many second-rate nations to expand their territories. However, Sha country preferred bloody massacres. When annexing a nation, usually, every single resident of the royal capital of that nation was devoured, leaving no one alive. As for the wilderness tribes, there were mass captures for consumption. The Emperor of Tian Kuan, protecting the prosperity of large cities and maintaining the sustainability of wilderness tribes, only periodically captures some. Only when annexing other nations does he have his feast. In the land of origin, this isn't considered unusual. Luo Feng sighed. The land of origin was more brutal and wicked than the Emperor of Tian Kuan, with many others still far surpassing it. They occupied vast territories, devouring countless creatures at will, with no hope for these creatures to ever rise up. Compared to that, the mysterious force that had previously enslaved and controlled Shuefengyu only enslaved a few geniuses. In the land of origin, when it came to sin, they were hardly worth mentioning. Luo Feng wandered from place to place. Second-rate nations, numerous third-rate nations. He even visited the Qianmu Kingdom and the Wanjie Kingdom, passing through many smaller neighboring countries, and finally took a route around the Thunder Ancient Country, stepping onto the Tianji icefield from the border of the Thunder Ancient Country. Except for the most remote east extreme domain, Luo Feng had traveled all across the land of origin. During this process, Luo Feng also took on some registered disciples. The wind and snow howled. The deeper into the Tianji icefield, the colder it got. Most outdoor areas were uninhabitable for ordinary tribes. Thus, countless creatures built cities. Luo Feng walked alone through the snow. Luo Feng's ears twitched. He heard the sound of melodious music. Beautiful piece. Luo Feng's eyes lit up. Having traveled through most of the land of origin, he had heard many pieces of music, but fewer and fewer moved him. Looking ahead, Luo Feng saw a desolate city covered with ice in the distance. Atop its walls a figure held a leaf, playing solo. The music spread and filled the whole city. The lonely melody, however, warmed the soul. Luo Feng saw memories of his days in school with his wife Xu Xin, and playful moments with his sons Luo Ping and Luo Hai. Luo Feng naturally immersed himself in these beautiful memories. "And Fengya, are you done playing? If you're finished, I'll make my move." An elite military troop was also near the city walls, waiting for the music to stop before their leader spoke. The young man in white on the walls, smiling, said, "Thank General Yun for allowing me to finish this newly created piece. And Fengya, duty calls, don't blame me." General Yun said, "Are you going to surrender, or should I take action?" "Please." The young man in white said with a smile. Suddenly, the elite military squad transformed into a giant black exotic beast, charging towards the young man in white. The young man in white pulled out an oval musical instrument, and began to play a tune that turned into various illusory realms, capturing the black exotic beast. Alas, the black exotic beast, with unified spiritual power, was not afraid. "My strength is insufficient," the young man in white sighed as the huge claw of the black exotic beast loomed over him. "Little guy, the piece is nice." A voice sounded. The young man in white looked over in shock. A man in black sat atop the city wall holding a wine jug, drinking and smiling at him. Meanwhile, everything around became quiet, and the huge black exotic beast froze mid-air. "And Fengya has met the Supreme," the young man in white immediately greeted. "And Fengya." Luo Feng nodded slightly and contacted the Flame Wind Pavilion to obtain all the detailed information about Fengya. "And Fengya, you love music and wander through many cities," Luo Feng observed him, "because you saw a small city's hundreds of millions of creatures about to be devoured. You injured the son of Juyi God King, and saved the city's people. Is this elite army chasing you under Juyi God King's command?" "Yes." And Fengya respectfully answered, "This Supreme knew everything. Knowing he was the son of Juyi God King, why did you intervene?" Luo Feng asked. "One life for hundreds of millions, it's naturally worth it," and Fengya smiled. "After I intervened, those hundreds of millions of lives immediately dispersed and fled, and I believe most of them survived. Are you willing to exchange your own life for the lives of hundreds of millions of unfamiliar creatures?" Luo Feng was surprised. Luo Feng knew he couldn't do it. He was willing to sacrifice for his hometown and tribe, but he could not sacrifice for strangers. "All of us are the essence of heaven and earth, all of us brilliant lives," and Fengya smiled with a smile so infectiously. Luo Feng could feel that Fengya spoke from his heart. Perhaps it was a soul that genuinely loved and devoutly cherished all life that could create such music. "I currently have 19 registered disciples. Would you like to become the 20th? Luo Feng asked him, drawn by his love for music. Most of the registered disciples Luo Feng had taken on during his travels across the land of origin were skilled in music, with 2 specializing in culinary arts. And Fengya was startled and couldn't help but say, "Supreme, I have offended the son of the Juyi God King. From today onward, there will be no Juyi God King in the land of origin." Luo Feng smiled at him. A mere first realm godly king causing trouble far and wide. Since he had a grudge against my disciple, he had tied himself to the same fate. Might as well deal with him now. And Fengya was surprised and immediately knelt down. "Disciple and Fengya, greets master." "Ha ha ha." Luo Feng laughed, very satisfied. At the same moment, an avatar of Luo Feng already traversed through the void, searching for that Juyi God King. In a majestic palace, within the quiet room, Juyi God King revealed his true form, a massive avian creature. His body was shrouded in ink-like mist, with a hint of blood red at the top of his head, and his cold eyes appeared both closed and open. He was born in the primordial cosmos, and had come to the land of origin via the Samsara channel. In the primordial cosmos, he was a special kind of life form, inherently a ferocious avian creature that delighted in consuming other creatures. He was like a nightmare in that cosmos, annihilating one group after another. Eventually, he became the most terrifying entity in the border territories of that primordial cosmos. All living beings within were consumed by him, and only after he passed through the samsara did the newly born creatures in that area get a chance to breathe. Yet upon arriving in the land of origin, his strength continued to rise, and he later took control of his home primordial cosmos too. His divine power incarnations randomly consumed living beings at will. In the land of origin, I'm still not strong enough, Juyi God King lamented. Although he was born with a predilection for consuming living beings, he could now only indulge himself within his own territory to whet his appetite. The children he had raised in the land of origin had extraordinary bloodlines, and were born powerful, most of them also preferring to devour creatures. When will I become truly invincible in the land of origin? Juyi God King wondered expectantly, his icy eyes shining with anticipation. Only then can I consider the entire land of origin my hunting ground. It would be a true delight, utterly carefree. Suddenly, an invisible attack descended. Juyi God King vanished silently into nothingness. As if a rubber had erased him, he was no more. His weapons and treasures, however, fell to the side, untouched by the assault. In the quiet room, Luo Feng dressed in black appeared on the scene. His too weak, Luo Feng shook his head lightly. With just a slight penetration of my Great Extinction style, he's gone. Great Extinction style was a combination of 6 branches of the Great Tao of Life and Death with curse-killing properties that could affect all avatars of the opponent. Of course, Juyi God King did not have an avatar, and at the moment of his death, his resurrection carrier was impacted as well. A resurrection carrier could be something as simple as a drop of blood or a feather, which was far less resistant than an avatar. Under the Great Extinction style, it was instantly annihilated. Because it happened so swiftly, Juyi God King didn't even have time to use his reincarnation secret art. You are the first godly king to die under my Great Extinction style. Luo Feng was quite pleased with the power of this move, which he had created over the span of 30+ years, referencing the memories from his dreams. Annihilate. With just a thought from Luo Feng, a wisp of black smoke instantly crossed vast distances and descended upon the 7 children of Juyi God King. Aside from a daughter who loathed consuming living beings and took a different godly king as her master, the rest of the 7 were like Juyi God King himself, relishing the prolonged consumption of countless creatures. With the death of Juyi God King, the primordial cosmos he controlled was once again free. Thus, outside the primordial cosmos, a slightly smaller, vast small universe also began to collapse. The Holy Land is collapsing. Has the ancestor died? Impossible, how could the ancestor possibly die? In this small universe, the descendants of Juyi God King were filled with horror. However, in the primordial cosmos and numerous small universes, the mighty beings cheered. The creatures from many reincarnation eras had lived in the shadow of Juyi God King, with even the primordial cosmos under his control. Previously, they had been mere food on Juyi God King's plate, chosen at will for consumption, powerless to resist. Until today, Juyi God King had finally perished, and they had all been liberated at last. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Although the death of Juyi God King drew some attention from the powers of the land of origin, they didn't care too much. After all, it was not uncommon for ordinary First Realm godly kings to fall. Even if they were weak and destroyed, they usually had time to reincarnate. Reincarnating to escape disaster was a common practice among ordinary godly kings. Juyi God King was weak, but even before Luo Feng had discovered the Great Extinction style, Juyi God King could still reincarnate to escape. The power of chaotic whole undying light was not enough to instantaneously annihilate Juyi God King along with his resurrection carrier. Even with the God King ultimate realm will combined with the Lai Yuan technique, there was no certainty of completely exterminating Juyi God King. After all, Juyi God King had traversed from the primordial universe, unlike those godly kings created through external forces in the shadow sky realm. After returning his disciple and Fengya to Huyang City, Luo Feng himself continued to travel through the land of origin. Tianji Icefield was a harsh environment, growing more frigid the deeper one went. Yet Luo Feng arrived at a warm and comfortable expanse, where no snow or wind could be seen, and lush vegetation thrived, with many tribes living in the wilderness. This environment was comfortable, and the number of cultivators had greatly increased. This is the Fire Ancestor realm. The Fire Ancestor had long resided in Fire Ancestor City, ruling over an extremely vast territory. This vast area, due to his presence, had become warmer, more suitable for life. Taking up less than a tenth of the Tianji Icefield, this place housed over half of the field's creatures. There are 5 reclusive cultivators, with the strength of emperors in the second realm of Godly King. Among them, the Wind City Empress and the Fire Ancestor stand aloof. He stands aloof because he does not contend. The Fire Ancestor lived in the secluded Tianji Icefield, not joining any power, and was rarely seen at various sacred sites. His strength was immense. Both ancient countries liked such powerful beings. He does not contend, yet he shelters more than half of the creatures in the Tianji Icefield, Luo Feng mused as he journeyed through the Fire Ancestor realm, observing its prosperity, and the reverence countless creatures held for the Fire Ancestor. Luo Feng also caught a distant glimpse of Fire Ancestor City. Fire Ancestor City seemed like a warm origin, with intangible rules in operation, naturally affecting the vast territories. Though it does not contend, it still protects countless creatures to the best of its ability. Admirable. Luo Feng also felt respect. There were very few powerhouses in the land of origin he admired, and the Fire Ancestor was one of them. Luo Feng continued to roam. Luo He. Inside Fire Ancestor City, a figure with simple clothes and red hair looked at Luo Feng from a distance and smiled. The land of origin is about to see the rise of another formidable being. As long as one comes to the Fire Ancestor realm, the Fire Ancestor can sense it. The Fire Ancestor then closed his eyes, his spirit and the myriad flames between heaven and earth seemed to merge as one. Some of these flames were used to cook food, some to refine pills, others to refine artifacts, and his spirit was one with these flames. Luo Feng arrived in the East Extreme Domain, the most remote and desolate place in the land of origin. The ancestor of the East Extreme Domain protects this place, and the Wind City Empress also hails from here. Luo Feng traversed this vast territory, where the power of heaven and earth was much thinner, and the treasures of the world were rare. However, this place was comfortable, and various fruits were common. These indigenous creatures were generally burly and gigantic, and they seldom used exquisite weapon secret treasures, opting instead for simple weapons like stone and wooden clubs. Their diet was also very ordinary, consisting mainly of common fruits. They worshipped heaven and earth, and many indigenous creatures were attuning to and comprehending the universe. When they fought, it was also cruel and frenzied. The indigenous creatures care not for external objects, but seek what is within. Yet among them, many godly king-level beings have been born, even existences on the level of the Wind City Empress. Who can say that their path is mistaken? Luo Feng understood their way. Casting aside all externals, focusing on oneself, focusing on the great Tao. This was the path of the indigenous beings. Luo Feng walked to the end of the land of origin, looking ahead at the endless universe ocean. The primal chaos current surged tumultuously, dark and without end in sight. Whether it's the primordial cosmos or the land of origin, the world is fascinating. Luo Feng sat cross-legged at the edge of the continent, gazing at the universe ocean, yet many ancient godly kings have used countless creatures as fodder for their cultivation. They are all extremely intelligent, and have partially unraveled the profound mysteries of the operation of the great Tao. However, they do not care about the joy and sorrow of ordinary creatures. What they care about is their own power. Whether they can reach the ultimate realm. Whether they can transcend the source world. And so, those ancient beings meticulously schemed. Perhaps, this is a part of the natural order of the cosmos. Luo Feng understood this too. The operation of the cosmos is composed of 9 complete great Taos. The law of the jungle is just one aspect of it, which also drives countless creatures to strive and compete. Empathy is a characteristic of living beings, and Luo Feng also understood that his pity for the weak was an aspect of compassion in his emotions. The functioning of the cosmos, with the law of the jungle, emotions, order, cleansing of destruction, hope, all interwoven, contributed to the operation of the world. All things have their own Tao, and each has its fate. However, I have my Tao. Cultivators are those who overcome the cosmos with their own strength. With their Tao, they transcend the Tao of the cosmos and utterly break free from the source world. Luo Feng's eyes remained calm. When the time comes, I will be able to decide how everything operates. The so-called order and fate will be determined by me. This is cultivation. To follow the way of heaven is the path of the mediocre. To overcome the cosmos with individual strength is the pursuit of cultivators and the hope of the supreme rules that give birth to countless creatures, expecting them to transcend it. At this moment, Luo Feng's spirit underwent another transformation. For more than 2 centuries as a godly king, with a powerful soul foundation, cultivation in the dream domain, cultivation in infinite space, the assistance of treasures like the 5-colored treasure medicine and the destruction scale, creating the great extinction style from direct confrontation with dream memories, the 7 emotions of heart refining, journeying across the land of origin. A series of slow transformations, until now, had finally led to a qualitative change through accumulation. One's strength can prevail over heaven. The will of Luo Feng's spirit formed a clear humanoid figure, with a face similar to Luo Feng's. This clear figure enveloped Luo Feng, with terrifying will congealing, surveying in all directions with an intimidating presence. A spirit body. The will had become so powerful that it could leave the body and form an illusory entity. I feel, this spirit body is even stronger than my physical body. A will surpassing the godly king's level, extremely formidable, could suppress, or even destroy any godly king's will before it. Breaking through this bottleneck from a godly king's will to a will beyond God King, was the most difficult threshold on the path of Luo Feng's spiritual will. This bottleneck had trapped many godly kings. In the land of origin, only a very few could achieve this step. As of now, Luo Feng was one of them. Land of origin, within the infinite space treasure trove. On an ordinary island in the middle of a lake, Luo Feng sat cross-legged, his terrifying spiritual will slightly spreading around him, causing the space itself to twist slightly. Buzz. A message immediately came from the mark in Luo Feng's palm. Trialist, Luo Feng of Land of Origin. Rooted in the Great Tao of Life and Great Tao of Destruction, a new Great Tao has been forged. Evaluation of the new path, superior. Reward points, 10,000. You have finally taken the first step on this new path, but you must continue to strive. Before mastering a complete Great Tao, your spiritual will successfully broke through the limit of a godly king. Evaluation of spiritual will, special grade. Reward points, 100,000. Your spiritual will is outstanding. Perhaps, you can still advance further. Reminder: it is prohibited to kill any spiritual beings. Violators will be expelled from the infinite space permanently. Total reward points: 108,193.03. Luo Feng looked at this message and couldn't help but show a smile. Rich at last. Finally wealthy. The infinite space treasure trove had more allure than many other troves. The only flaw was that reward points were so difficult to come by. This time, 100,000 reward points gave Luo Feng a sense of affluence. Added a new reminder. Luo Feng noticed: prohibit the killing of any spiritual beings. Indeed, every cultivator who arrives in the infinite space gets a common godly king level physical body. Once the spiritual will breaks the godly king limit, in the infinite space, one becomes virtually invincible, able to kill a large number of spiritual beings with impunity. Luo Feng understood the rationale behind the rules. Without such a prohibition, there would hardly be any spiritual beings left alive in the infinite space. Of course, even with the prohibition, his avatar would remain here. The inheritance and resources obtained here were far superior to those in the two ancient countries. Perhaps this was also why Emperor Ming lingered here. Right, Emperor Ming is staying here. However, the Lord of 10,000 Realms and Emperor Qing, who have also surpassed the godly king limit in terms of their spiritual will, have not stayed. Luo Feng speculated as he looked at his information. Before mastering a complete Great Tao, if the spiritual will breaks through the godly king limit, the reward is 100,000 points. For people like the Lord of 10,000 Realms, who only broke through after reaching the ultimate realm, will their evaluation drop to superior. Reward points merely 10,000. I understand why they didn't stay. Luo Feng nodded slightly. The Lord of 10,000 Realms and Emperor Qing received fewer reward points, and if they weren't confident that they could reach a high enough level on a new path outside their current paths, it made sense to temporarily leave the infinite space. Only Emperor Ming and I, in the entire land of origin, have spiritual will evaluated as special grade. Forging a new Great Tao, reaching a special grade evaluation, I wonder what the threshold is. Luo Feng mused. With his achievements in the Great Tao of life and death, he only reached a superior evaluation. A special grade evaluation had such a high threshold. This also demonstrated the preciousness of reward points. Luo Feng began to look at the treasure trove of the infinite space. Now that he owned over 100,000 points, the information on treasures he could access greatly increased. Numerous inheritance messages emerged, and Luo Feng's gaze quickly swept to the 7th-ranked information. The 7th-ranked inheritance, 8 tribulations life form, covering the 6th, 7th, and 8th tribulations. Requires 100,000 points for exchange, with the highest cultivation attainable being half primordial life. Reminder: the theoretical 9th tribulation within this inheritance holds potential for realization, and once completed, one may escape the braided cage. That high? Luo Feng was startled. The first 5 tribulations of 8 tribulations life form, added together, amounted to just over 10,000 reward points, including the complete Godly King stage of cultivation. However, from beyond the Godly King to half primordial life, it demanded such a high price. Senior Yuan managed to collect this inheritance, and even recognized that completing the 9th tribulation might offer a chance to escape the braided cage. Luo Feng's appreciation for this inheritance greatly increased. I have just over 100,000 points. I must set it aside for now. He couldn't possibly exchange all his reward points for an inheritance he couldn't use at the moment. What's most crucial for him now was first achieving the ultimate realm. Beyond God King. That was still far off for him. Moreover, according to the information he obtained from the special grade inheritance, every stage of a godly king's foundation needed to be immensely solid. So these reward points certainly needed to be used. World Life Form, Chapter 3, Special Grade Inheritance, requires 60,000 reward points for exchange. Godly King Ultimate Realm Section. Chaotic Whole Beast Body, Chapter 3, Special Grade Inheritance, requires 60,000 reward points for exchange. Godly King Ultimate Realm Section. Luo Feng saw the information he wanted. Special Grade Inheritance in the Infinite Space, max exchanged up to the Ultimate Realm section of a Godly King. Luo Feng viewed a vast amount of inheritance information. Perfection level inheritance, just for the second realm of Godly King required 10,000 reward points. As for the points needed for the Ultimate Realm section, Luo Feng temporarily couldn't see them. Let's take a look at the treasures instead. Luo Feng wasn't in a hurry to exchange inheritances, and began to first look at various treasures. The highest ranked treasure, a primordial heart, needed 100,081 reward points for exchange. By integrating it into the body, one could achieve a primordial body, highly compatible with all origin Great Tao. Recommendation: at least those who have enlightened branches in 5 origin Great Tao should exchange. Reminder: once more than half of the supreme rules are controlled within each Great Tao, achieving at least the second realm of the Godly King in each, one has the hope to control the supreme rules, becoming the Source World Master. The second-ranked treasure, a miniature Source World, required 100,081 reward points for exchange, suitable for cultivators of the origin Tao of the world. They could refine it as one of the worlds within their body, with boundless benefits. The third-ranked treasure, a primordial life research spaceship, required 100,000 reward points for exchange, suitable for cultivators of the Great Tao of Life Origin. Suggestion: suitable for studying primordial bloodline, conducive to the ultimate awakening of primordial bloodline, escaping the braided cage. The rows of treasures at the front left Luo Feng dumbfounded. The sparse information made Luo Feng's heart tighten. Within the supreme rules, over half of the Great Taos reach at least the second realm of Godly King, thus one could aspire to become the master of the Source World. Ultimate awakening of the primordial bloodline can also escape the braided cage. Even without purchasing many treasures, Luo Feng had learned some secret information. Luo Feng looked at them one by one. Time and again he was tempted, but Luo Feng was clear that the opportunity to buy was always there. However, he had only so many reward points and must maximize their use. Common Beyond God King level weapon secret treasures were generally priced between 12,500 to 50,000 points. The most expensive was 50,000 points. Beyond God King level weapon secret treasures generally have the effect of resisting spiritual will, either strong or weak. As Luo Feng viewed the simple information about these secret treasures, like the most expensive one worth 50,000 points, for the introduction, it reduced all attacks from beings less than a half primordial life to 10% of their original strength. All attacks, including those of spiritual will, soul attacks, causality attacks, etc., were all weakened. Who crafted these secret treasures? Luo Feng muttered to himself. Holding a sum of reward points, Luo Feng felt somewhat dazzled. He wanted this and that too. Because treasures of this level could give Luo Feng tremendous help. The only problem: too few reward points. Regardless, studying the Great Tao is the foundation. First, exchange for the cheapest Lotus Heart Seed. Luo Feng had previously exchanged for the Destruction Scale, and among the treasures compatible with the Great Tao of Life Origin, the cheapest was the Lotus Heart Seed, costing 18,000 reward points. Exchange. Luo Feng didn't hesitate. The reward points immediately dropped to 90,193.03 points. Considering future inheritance exchanges, he naturally needed to think more carefully about the treasures. His spiritual will had just broken through, and life and destruction were on the verge of reaching second realm of godly king, Luo Feng planned to stabilize his overall strength and then pick treasures according to his strength at that time. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In Huyang City, inside the quiet room of the city owner's mansion, within the Star Tower, Luo Feng held a multicolored seed in his hand, feeling very good. Senior Yuan left infinite space in the land of origin. The more outstanding a cultivator, the greater the benefits one gains. Luo Feng felt great, as both the Lotus Heart seed and the destruction scale would perfectly align him with the life and destruction great Tao's. Like Emperor Gui Shu, Mother River Master, Earth God King, etc., all outstanding beings who'd received treasures left by Yuan, even those beyond God King level, yet their outcomes were all quite tragic. Luo Feng's mind stirred, looking towards the Star Tower. In the infinite space treasure vault, beyond God King level weapon secret treasures range between 10,000 to 50,000 points. I wonder how much my Star Tower is worth. With a thought, Luo Feng's spiritual will began to penetrate the Star Tower. This was the first time he carefully observed the Star Tower after his spiritual will breakthrough. Spiritual will began to penetrate inside the Star Tower. Huh! It's different from before. Luo Feng was pleasantly surprised to discover that his powerful spiritual will quickly penetrated deeper layers of the Star Tower, revealing infinitely mysterious secret patterns in his consciousness. These secret patterns. Luo Feng was perplexed. The secret patterns in the deeper parts of the Star Tower had significantly advanced in mystery, far exceeding a complete origin great Tao. Luo Feng couldn't understand them. Countless secret patterns spiraled into deeper areas. Luo Feng's spiritual will followed these spiral directions, continuing deeper. The deeper he went, the more vast and complex the secret patterns became. Is this the hidden side of the Star Tower? Luo Feng's spiritual will continuously penetrated, peering into more secret patterns. As he penetrated to a very deep point, suddenly time stopped. That's strange. Luo Feng could feel that all his other avatars were in a suspended state of time. Clearly he was frozen in this moment. Yet this avatar's spiritual will kept peering. Though he couldn't understand the secret patterns, they became even more beautiful, even radiating with colors. Mainly in blood red, but also black, cyan, emerald green, purple, and many other colors. Boom. Luo Feng didn't know how long he had penetrated when finally, his spiritual will saw it. It was something hidden in the deepest part of the Star Tower. Scales. Luo Feng curiously looked. A piece of scale, hidden in the deepest part of the Star Tower, was a blood-red scale, yet the edge of the scale bore fully 12 colors. This scale within the Star Tower felt like the supreme rules within the source world, naturally affecting everything. It is not truly real. As the master of the Star Tower, Luo Feng had a feeling. This scale was the Star Tower. The Star Tower was the scale. Both were one. What he had peered into was just the outer appearance manifested by the mystery of the rules. Luo Feng's spiritual will observe the crimson scales shimmering with a 12-colored radiance, which emanated a tremendously terrifying oppressive force. Even Luo Feng's spiritual will felt an immense burden. This crimson scale is far more terrifying than the huge eye in my dream memory. If the will of a god king in the ultimate realm were to face it directly, they might go insane. Luo Feng compared in his heart and naturally made a judgment. Previously, he had been unable to probe deeper into the Star Tower, which was actually a form of protection. As his spiritual will became strong enough, he naturally managed to probe into it. Of course, that huge eye was merely an image from a dream memory. If it really existed, the real huge eyes and this blood-colored scale, it would be hard to say which is more terrifying. Is the will beyond the God King level merely a prerequisite to observe it? Those beyond God King level secret treasures in the land of origin, I've heard none so terrifying, thought Luo Feng. The emperors and monarchs of the two ancient countries are all equipped with secret treasures beyond the God King level. Relying on ultimate realm life forms and powerful secret treasures, they were able to compete with the Lord of 10,000 Realms and the Sector Beast. According to legend, the ancestors of the two countries could fabricate, beyond God King level secret treasures. These emperors and monarchs, except for Emperor Qing and Emperor Ming, their wills are all merely at the ultimate realm of God Kings. Many of them also have to expend effort suppressing their chaotic bloodline will. Their spiritual wills, to unleash the power of those treasures. How could those treasures compare to the Star Tower? Luo Feng deduced based on known intelligence and the information gathered from the infinite space treasure vault, among many aspects. The Star Tower should far surpass the common, beyond God King level secret treasures in the land of origin. This made Luo Feng even more cautious. Let's see how powerful the Star Tower is. Luo Feng's divine power tried to permeate the profound and vast secret patterns deep within the Star Tower. Of these patterns, Luo Feng only understood a little at the shallowest level. A deeper investigation left him completely baffled. It was like a kindergarten child on Earth facing a thick book on advanced mathematics, unable to understand even the symbols. Of what little I can understand, I'll study thoroughly first. Luo Feng was rather invigorated. The more complex these secret patterns were, the higher the level of the Star Tower. I can discern life, destruction, causality, time, space, matter, world, infinite, and extreme point. These are the tracks of the 9 essential great Taoes under the supreme rules. Luo Feng, having once merged his heart with the supreme rules and observed these 9 great Taoes, albeit not understanding the other paths much, could barely categorize them. These secret patterns surely encompass more than 9 great Taoes. The deeper they go, the more tightly they integrate, until they finally form that piece of blood-colored scale. Based on the shallow layer secret patterns, life-related patterns account for 34.1%, destruction-related patterns 9.2%, and material-related patterns around 7%. Luo Feng could fairly accurately judge life-related and destruction-related patterns. However, his judgment on the material patterns, though rough, was far too vague for others. Life is the core. The other types revolve around it. After categorizing, Luo Feng felt much clearer, and his divine power began to penetrate. To drive the secret patterns, one must first comprehend most of them. It's like facing a tangled mess. The first step is understanding how to unravel the mess, methodically, step by step, with no mistakes. The secret patterns deep inside the Star Tower were such, only much more profound. The order of activation, the order of integration, how to coordinate. With a considerable accumulation in the directions of life and destruction, even on how the two could integrate, Luo Feng studied the shallow layer patterns continuously, driving more and more. Cultivators usually focus on one great Tao. It's quite rare for one to practice 2 or 3 Taoes. This scale contains at least a dozen kinds of Taoes, yet manages a perfect integration. Luo Feng was also quite shocked. In the process of researching and driving the secret patterns of life and destruction, Luo Feng's horizons were greatly broadened. The combination of life and destruction has so many methods. The way I tried to integrate them, compared to it, is far too rudimentary. Luo Feng felt like a parched desert, frantically absorbing water. The methods of combining life and destruction within the secret patterns of the Star Tower greatly expanded Luo Feng's perspectives, giving him many more directions. Boom! A fusion mystery of the Great Tao suddenly emerged in Luo Feng's mind. It was the mystery of a perfect integration of the sky-splitting branch and dark sky branch of the Great Tao of Destruction origin, thoroughly demonstrating all possibilities of this integration. Second realm of Godly King. Luo Feng realized. This was his first insight into the deeper secret patterns of the Star Tower, when he naturally reached the second realm of Godly King in the Great Tao of Destruction origin. This was also due to his profound prior accumulations, and because of the scale of destruction, he had trained an avatar of the destruction demon race. The accumulation in the Great Tao of Destruction origin had long surpassed the path of life unknowingly. These two branches, once completely integrated, allowed Luo Feng to easily create numerous moves based on the integration mysteries of sky-splitting and dark sky. However, such moves were of little help to Luo Feng's strength. Instead, I could create an escape secret technique. With a thought from Luo Feng, an outline for an escape secret technique was already forming, which he estimated he could fully perfect in just a few hundred days. But Luo Feng was not distracted and continued to study the deep layer secret patterns of the Star Tower. This research lasted nearly half a century. Only then did Luo Feng feel the difficulty in making progress. I can drive the secret patterns reasonably well now, let's see how powerful they can be. Luo Feng was quite curious. This time, with even more powerful power of the world, completely ignited, the deep-level secret patterns of the Star Tower began to be activated. The Star Tower was situated within the quiet room of the Huyang City Lord's mansion, and Luo Feng had released his world domain to cover the surroundings, isolating any external prying. At that moment, the Star Tower shook slightly, its aura causing the world domain released by Luo Feng to tremble. Luo Feng felt as if he was in control of a colossal entity that might rampage uncontrollably with a power that could surpass the Great Extinction style. What terrifying power! Luo Feng felt it briefly and did not dare to fully deploy it. Once deployed, Luo Feng was not confident that he could completely contain the power. This power is also somewhat terrifying. Luo Feng was somewhat astonished. The secret treasures that could be exchanged in the infinite space treasure vault, those legendary secret treasures from the land of origin, should not be able to unleash such power, even at his second realm of Godly King status. After the transformation of the spiritual will, I could sweep through most of the Godly Kings on the land of origin. But those emperors and monarchs, I am not confident. Emperors and monarchs, they all possess ultimate realm life forms. Ultimate realm life forms are incredibly complete in themselves, and partly resistant to the effects of spiritual will. Moreover, the emperors and monarchs of the two ancient countries also possess, beyond God King level secret treasures, which more or less hold resistance against the spiritual will. With these two aspects combined, merely relying on spiritual will, Luo Feng estimated he could somewhat affect their strength, but killing them seemed unlikely. Apart from spiritual will, my experimental combat strength compared to emperors is still weaker. Once the Star Tower is exposed, Emperor Qing, the ancestor of East Extreme Domain, the ancestors of both nations, if they make a move to contend for the Star Tower, can I survive? In front of those figures, his spiritual will is useless, even their spiritual will might be stronger than his physical body. Techniques. The gap was enormous. There's no need to use the Star Tower yet, Luo Feng thought, and in time, without external aid, my strength will reach a new level. It wouldn't be long before he could comprehend the 24 forms. Then, with the help of primordial bloodline biological materials, he could cultivate a higher realm of world life form. The 10 directions world form is the entry to the world life forms. The 24 forms truly display the power of a world life form. Luo Feng looked forward with anticipation, maybe without the Star Tower, I could even match an emperor or monarch in strength. In the primordial bloodline creatures at the second realm of Godly King strength, those with the 24 forms are considered top tier. This is still these primordial bloodline creatures with low intelligence. In Luo Feng's hands, the world life forms of the 24 forms, naturally, would have even greater power. Luo Feng's spiritual will could also make the world life forms even more formidable. The techniques of the land of origin have a limit, the limit of the God King ultimate realm, which is also why primogenitor Yang Feng could not kill the Mother River Master. The stronger I get on my own, the more powerful the Star Tower can be. Right, there's also this. Luo Feng looked at the colorful lotus heart seed in his hand. The lotus heart seed, rooted within the inner world, could grow into a life lotus. Besides increasing the alignment with the great Tao of life origin, it also makes the inner world more stable, fills the physical body with endless vitality, significantly enhancing the physical body's strength. Life Lotus. After exchanging, Luo Feng obtained more detailed information. The larger the inner world, the better the Life Lotus can grow. The Life Lotus could also be transferred to the outside world, even used in combat against enemies. Inside the body, it also strengthens the physical body. Planting. This lotus heart seed, naturally, Luo Feng planted in the inner world of the true body of the world life form he could control, as his spiritual will had transformed, allowing him to drive an even more formidable world life form. Currently, Luo Feng's small universe continuously absorbed energy to the greatest extent, channeling an endless supply of perfect divine power for the growth of the world life form. Whoosh! World life form, inner world. When a seed fell deep into the earth, in just a moment, a streak of green broke through the ground and grew rapidly. The growth rate of the life lotus was astonishing. It used the entire inner world as its foundation, growing taller and taller, petal by petal unfolding, until finally, after 1009 days, the life lotus had grown to the limit that the inner world could bear. It was all in shades of green, with huge lotus leaves like worlds themselves. 36 green lotus leaves occupied 1/10 of the entire inner world, while its roots permeated every part of the inner world's earth, making the inner world even more stable. If Luo Feng were to release his world domain, its power would greatly increase. This life lotus, connected as if one with the great Tao of life origin, naturally possessed endless vitality. This video will end here.